Mr. Chair, you are now live.
Thank you very much. Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this virtual Cabinet meeting. Before the meeting starts, could I ask that a roll call be taken of members and officers that are in attendance? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I will call Cabinet members in alphabetical order. Please indicate your presence. Councillor Tracy Abbott. Councillor Abbott.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Richard Austin.
Present.
Councillor Martin Griggs.
Present.
Councillor Jonathan Noble.
Present.
Councillor Paul Skinner.
Present.
Councillor Yvonne Stevens. I haven't seen Councillor Stevens on the list. Councillor Welton.
Present.
Thank you. Officers attending, Michelle Sachs, Deputy Chief Executive Place. No. Tim Leader, Deputy Chief Executive Strategy.
Good evening.
Thank you, Tim. Adrian Sibley, Section 151 Officer.
Present.
James Gilbert, Assistant Director, Organisation and Corporate Services. I can
He
see.
is here.
Yeah, I can see him. Phil Perry, Assistant Director, Sports Services and Partnerships.
Present.
Lydia Rusling, Assistant Director, Towns Fund.
Good evening.
Gemma Creasy, Revenues and Benefits Manager.
Present.
Rachel Robinson, Organisational Improvement and Development Service Manager.
Present.
And myself, Lorraine Bush, Democratic Services Manager.
Thank you. I'll move on to part one, the preliminaries. Have I the Cabinet's permission to sign the minutes of the meeting the Cabinet held on the 9th of September 2020?
Agreed.
Thank you. Are there any apologies?
I have no apologies for this meeting, Chairman.
Thank you. Do any members want to declare any interests?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just for the purpose of clarity, it is on my DPI register, but I recently started working for the college. So obviously, the last item on the agenda refers to the Mayflower Centre. My employment has no bearing on any decisions I make. I just thought for the purpose of clarity, I'd best declare it.
Thank you, Councillor Griggs.
Thank you very much. Any other declarations? Thank you for that, Councillor Griggs. Right. Item D, are there any questions from members of the public?
There are no questions for this meeting, Chairman.
Thank you. So then we move on to part two, the agenda items. Are there any recommendations from the overview and scrutiny committees for this meeting?
The Council Tax Support Scheme and Workforce Development Strategy were considered by the Corporate and Community Committee at its meeting on the 15th of October 2020, and verbal updates will be provided at the appropriate point in the agenda.
Thank you very much. Item 2, Council Tax Support Scheme. This is the first report of the evening, and it's on Council Tax Support Scheme 21 to 22, which I invite Councillor Noble to introduce. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Proposal for the Council Tax Support Scheme 2021 to 22. I'll just briefly go over the history of it, the impact of universal credit, and then the options that are available to us. The Council Tax Support Scheme was introduced in April 2013 following the abolition of council tax benefits, and the present scheme is very similar to that which was originally brought in. The scheme is intended to protect pensioners, war pensioners, and persons of working age on low incomes. It's a mean-tested scheme which allows a maximum entitlement of 75% for working age applicants. The caseload at the end of July was 4,634, comprising 2,379 working age applicants and 2,255 pension age applicants. When the 2018-19 Council Tax Support Scheme was approved, it was proposed that a fundamental review of the scheme would not be undertaken for at least 2 years due to delays in the rollout process for universal credit. The Universal Credit Full Service was rolled out in the Boston area in September 2018, but only for new claims. It's anticipated that the movement of all existing claims to Universal Credit will not be completed until 2023. Since the introduction of Universal Credit, those persons who receive it in addition to their wages and who are claiming council tax support can have their claims reassessed up to 12 times per year. So Universal Credit is assessed over a period of a month. The earnings of an applicant are assessed during that period. If they increase or decrease, the assessment for Universal Credit will change, thus creating a reassessment for council tax support. If there is a change to their assessment, it will alter their council tax instalments. This may mean that some applicants may go up to 12 months without receiving a council tax reminder. Current records show that there are approximately 900 cases where Universal Credit is in payment to successful applicants with earnings and a claim for council tax support. On average, there are between 100 and 120 claims for council tax support each month. There are between 1,600 and 1,700 Universal Credit changes per month. In September, there were actually 1,900. Now, we have three options available. One, to continue with the current scheme and uprating in line with Department of Work and Pensions uprating for working age social security benefits and non-dependent deductions. The second option is to uprate in line with the DWP and look only at assessing every 3 months those working age applicants who are receiving Universal Credit and are working. Under this option, if an applicant had a significant change in their income within the 3-month period, their case should be reassessed. This will allow the applicant more consistency with their entitlement and their monthly council tax charge. This option will allow some administrative savings in terms of assessment and costs. The third option is to make no changes to the current scheme and do not uprate in line with DWP upratings. And that should be noted, as was stated earlier, on Thursday the 15th of October, the members of the Corporate and Community Committee voted unanimously to approve option 2. That concludes my report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Noble. Are there any questions from anybody? Councillor Welton.
Thank you. I just want to say that following the briefing on this recently and the discussions I had with Mrs. Creasy, the manager, I am pleased that we are able to continue this scheme, and I'm also really pleased in the changes in option 2 that allow some of our most vulnerable people to be able to better budget going forward and not have letters every month changing the demand from the council tax. So for me, I'm really pleased, and this seems to be a really positive way forward in allowing people to budget better going forward. Thank you.
Do you want to comment, Councillor Noble?
Yes, I appreciate those very positive comments given by Councillor Welton. I think we can all wholeheartedly agree with the sentiments he's just expressed. It's going to make it better for existing claimants, a more effective system for them, I think. So good.
Thank you very much for that. I wholeheartedly support this. It's really good. Do we have a proposer?
Yes, I propose it. I propose that full council be recommended to adopt option 2 as set out in the report. A continuation of the current council tax support scheme, uprating in line with the Department of Work and Pensions upratings for working age social security benefits and non-dependent deductions, but assessing working age applicants who are working and in receipt of universal credits every 3 months. Thank you. I look for a seconder.
Do we have a seconder?
I'd second that wholeheartedly.
The proposal has been moved and seconded, so I'll move to the vote. Lorraine.
Thank you, Chairman. We'll do vote by roll call. Sorry, I'll just put myself on camera.
Thank you.
I'll call out Cabinet members' names in alphabetical order, and if you could respond for, against or abstain. Councillor Abbott,
For.
Councillor Austin,
For.
Councillor Griggs,
For.
Councillor Noble,
For.
Councillor Skinner,
For.
Councillor Stevens,
For.
Councillor Welton.
For.
Thank you, members. That's a unanimous recommendation to full council.
Thank you very much. We move to item 3, which is the workforce development strategy, which I will introduce. So therefore I'll present report. I really welcome this piece of work on the workforce development strategy. It sets out the approach that council will take between 2020 and 2024, develop its culture, working practices and its people. The need for this workforce development strategy was identified in the 2019 LGA peer review. But most of all, I welcome this strategy, which has been developed in consultation with the leadership team, the managers, our employee reference groups, and the trade unions. And briefly from the report, 6 schemes have been themes, should I say, have been identified in the workforce development strategy. And these are: 1, to attract and retain talented employees, important for any business. 2, a flexible approach to service delivery. 3, a healthy and active workforce. 4, shape and develop our organisational culture to maximise staff engagement. 5, be efficient and effective in all we do. And 6, very importantly, to celebrate our success and reward excellence. This was also presented at the Corporate and Communities Committee last week. And in light of the comments that they made, I propose one minor addition to the strategy document contained in the reports pack, and that is the addition of the following wording to be added under "What will success look like?" section on page 34 of the reports pack. So the amendment will be: high-performing teams who have built trust, aligned skills, enhanced collaboration, and brought together diverse talents to achieve a shared goal. I'm quite happy to move this item, but I will open it up to debate. Any questions? Councillor Griggs?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think, I'm more than happy to second it, first of all, but I think it's fantastic that we're taking the approach that, we need to look after our staff and make sure that not only are we keeping motivated, high-performing individuals on the council staff, that obviously therefore means that we have the ability to provide good, cost-effective services, but also it keeps them within the borough and providing for the local economy. So I think, it's a really good report. So happy to second that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Griggs. Any further comments? Well, I think it's an absolute outstanding piece of work. It's oh, sorry, Councillor Noble, I can just see your hand.
Thank you. Yes, I just think it's an excellent idea because it's going to set a much clearer path for colleagues in their career advancement, through the use of mentors so they can develop their skills and behaviour. So if it helps to retain ambitious staff and helps it enhance their career development, I think it's just an excellent idea. So I wholeheartedly support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Noble. And the best thing, it's got buy-in from everybody and everybody all the way through the organisation, and that's how you actually get things to work. So the proposal has been moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Griggs. So I will move to the vote. Lorraine.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, we will do the vote by roll call. Councillor Abbott.
For.
Councillor Austin,
Four.
Councillor Griggs,
Four.
Councillor Noble,
4,
Councillor Skinner,
4.
Councillor Stevens,
4,
Councillor Welton.
4.
That's unanimously carried, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we move on to item 4, which is the corporate strategy and priorities, which I'll ask Councillor Welton to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So the corporate priorities, we've spent a lot of time going through these, and it's also gone out to consultation. The consultation was through the corporate and community scrutiny. The recommendations are at Appendix B, and the full consultation report is at Appendix C. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but just to say that our main corporate strategy is people, and that's what we believe, that the people of this town are our future. And in order to serve the people of our town, Priority 2 provides a framework to help with future prosperity, regeneration, and inclusive growth. In order to do that, Priority 3 specifies our environmental awareness and accountability. And of course, finalising off the corporate priorities is about measuring success, because if we don't put measuring success into our plan, how do we know that we're achieving it? There are some elements of the plan that won't be delivered within the period that this plan sits, but that is about our aspirations going forward. So based on that, Leader, I don't want to waste everybody's time. We've got the report, we've gone through it, it's gone out to consultation. What we're doing tonight is recommending it to full council. So on that process, I'd like to move the recommendations as the report, please.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Welton. I have a hand. Councillor Stevens, I believe, would like to say a word, and
Yes.
Councillor Austin after that.
I'd
Thank
like to second it, Leader, if I might, please. But I'd also like to make a comment also in support of this, because this is very much affects my portfolio. As Councillor Welton said, the Priority 3, accountability, environmental and accountability. The climate change, as we all know, has been identified. And as you will see that in the report, but if every one of us does just a little, then an awful lot will happen. So we've got to keep trying. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Austin, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, indeed. This is the council's vision and ambition for the borough. Vision and ambition is a key factor to get across if the right things are to happen. And we want everybody in the borough to get behind this strategy, and then I'm sure great things will happen. And I'm particularly pleased that climate change has been incorporated, as this will be affecting all of us to a much greater extent as time moves on. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Austin. Councillor Noble.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd just like to say that I was really pleased that the way the whole document has been put out to consultation, because from pages 59 to 76, it was very intriguing and interesting that we had canvassed quite widely, and the responses we've had from the local people were very enlightening. So I'm just pleased that we put it out to consultation and just wasn't given out some kind of fait accompli. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I think it's a really great piece of work. It's a piece of work that's also flexible to adjust to the needs going forward, which is important with any document. We don't want something that's stuffy that sits on the shelf. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. I'll ask Lorraine to call out the cabinet members' names. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Abbott.
Agree.
Councillor Austin.
4.
Councillor Griggs.
4.
Councillor Noble.
4.
Councillor Skinner.
4.
Councillor Stevens.
4.
Councillor Welton.
4.
That's unanimously carried, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So we move to item 5, which is PE 21 update reports. And once again, it's Councillor Welton to present.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very brief report this evening, as it's an update from the last cabinet meeting. So at the last cabinet meeting, we agreed that the Deputy Chief Executive procure works that are needed to maximum the proposal of a successive town fund and shall take on necessary steps. So that was agreed at our last meeting, and the report we've got in front of us today is just to ratify the companies that we have engaged to do the feasibility studies, and that is Hetter Architects, Alliance Leisure and Banks Long. And we have the report in front of us. The money for that is coming out of the accelerated funding that we were awarded by the Ministry for Housing, Communities and Local Government. So this is not money coming out of our direct revenue budgets, but money that we've bid for and granted. So on that note, Leader, I'd like to move the recommendations in the report, please.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Welton. I'm very happy to second that, but are there any questions? Councillor Noble.
Thank you, Chair. Not a question, observation. I just think it's very pleasing that, as Councillor Welton has just referred to, we haven't used council's monies for this. It's come from the accelerated funding, and then the actual costs of each study are quite clearly defined in the document. So I think it's good. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Griggs.
Yeah, thank you. Not a question, just a comment. It's nice to see the plans moving forward. There's nothing worse than a plan that sits there doing anything, growing old and becoming obsolete before it's enacted. So it's really nice that, one, we've not had to find money in our own budgets to progress it, and two, fantastic that it's moving ahead. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Griggs. Councillor Austin.
I'm very pleased that we've got this far with this the town deal. I think there's a lot of detail in it, and I think what we do need to see, which I'm sure is being worked on, is a good summary of the main projects. The headings are, to some people, will seem a little bit obscure. But so I think there needs to be a little bit of a description with each of the headings for public relations point of view. But just a thought.
Thank you, Councillor Austin. Fair point. But this is really quite exciting. So it's moved, it's seconded. I'll ask Lorraine to ask the cabinet members in alphabetical order.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Abbott.
Agree.
Councillor Austin.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Griggs.
4.
Councillor Noble.
4.
Councillor Skinner.
4.
Councillor Stevens. 4. Councillor Welton.
4.
Thank you, Chairman. That's unanimously carried.
That's really good. So that concludes this meeting. So I thank you all for your attendance and bid you good night. Thank you.